Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 10th August 2020, and these are the important articles for the day. This article is taken from the Live Mint and it is titled "The Nation State is Back with a Vengeance Thanks to COVID-19." Now, before proceeding with this article, let us try to understand the concept of nation state. So basically, what do you understand by a sovereign country? We also have this word in the preamble of our constitution, and it declares that India is a sovereign country. So basically, to simplify things, the ultimate power to decide on anything that pertains to the country rests with the country itself and does not depend on any foreign power. That is the meaning of sovereign country. Now, what shapes the decisions taken by a country? That will define the context of this idea of nation state. So, any sovereign country has citizens in that. When these citizens take a decisions because they are united by factors that define a nation. Say, for example, we have a country like Germany, which has been united on the factor that it is a nation state which comprises of people speaking the language of German. So, in this particular example, the factor that united the people of that nation is the factor of language. Now, it can be different for different people. After the era of globalization, it was generally believed that the idea of nation state is no longer relevant to our economy and the global geopolitical relations as well. But because of the COVID-19, we saw how integrated our global economy was, and also it also showed the dangers of globalization. So there were proponents who even argue that if there was deglobalization or if there was no globalization at all, probably the pandemic would not have caused as much havoc as what we are witnessing today. So this is a very weak argument because globalization has enriched the prosperity standards in various countries. So with the present situation, because of the political reasons involved and COVID-19, this era of deglobalization has actually begun, according to the author. And again, the concept of nation state, which was very prominent during the World Wars era, is back into action once again. So in the era of globalization, we have had a scenario where many institutions are run by rules based institutions, like for example WTO. But in the present context, if you take United States of America as an example, it has been retreating from all sorts of rules based institutions and thwarting the infrastructure created by these institutions. So USA before this could not unilaterally impose restrictions on trade because it was abiding by these rules. Now we have a person like Trump who is taking care of the economy in such a way that it is retreating from a rules based world order, and he is imposing trade tariffs which are not beneficial for United States of America. The same trend is witnessed across the countries because of this COVID-19, and this retreat of multilateralism has only progressed. It did not take a backseat with this present pandemic. A lot of economists were trying to draw parallels as to how various governments reacted after the global financial crisis that happened in 2008, or the Great Economic Depression that happened in 1929, or the World War era. So one fails to understand that the fundamental difference between these economic distress and the one that we are facing currently are completely different in nature. So if you take a look at the global financial crisis or the other two, they're either economic in nature or political in nature. But the one we are fighting today is a war that we are fighting against the nature. So unless and until we have a vaccine, there is nothing that can provide stability to our. So it is sort of creating a total environment of uncertainty. So whatever measures that the world and the institutions of those particular governments took, like say for example, expansionist fiscal policy, wherein there is a lot of money being pumped into the economy, those sort of measures are also not yielding the required results because of the lockdowns imposed across various countries. Now, even though there has been gradual change in the restrictions imposed during these lockdowns, still there is an element of doubt and a fear psychosis is created within the consumers, which will stop the impact of these expansionist fiscal policies taking shape. So we are still witnessing two clear trends that will define the state of our economy going forward. These two trends which are challenged right now are: first one is the possibility of a borderless world. That looks like a distant possibility now, and there are a lot of libertarians who believe that there should be less and less amount of government control in order to ensure that innovation drives the economy and markets will eventually drive the economy. So these two are a distant possibility, because at this time we have only increased the role of government in driving our economy, because this is a matter of leadership. Unless and until we have formidable leadership in these times of uncertainty, it is very much difficult to handle these situations. But the downside for this trend is the fact that a lot of governments across the world are curtailing the virtues of a democratic world order. So they are using the pandemic as an excuse to impose unreasonable restraints on various activities. So across the world, especially in impoverished countries and also in countries where the economy is struggling, take for example Brazil, Venezuela and all the other Latin American countries, which are seeing a phase where normal democratic world order is completely suspended, and just about every government activity is virtually run by unlimited government power. So there is a state of undeclared emergency in those particular economies. So this is a very antithesis of globalization, and we are witnessing this stage. So how to overcome this? We have to learn lessons from our history. So after the World War, we have witnessed a trend where governments have not abided by these democratic principles, and it took a lot of years for us to come back to normalcy. So in a similar scenario, we have to learn lessons from our history and ensure that this process is not repeated, wherein the governments exercise unrestrained powers and erode the values that we have created through a democratic world order. So there is a possibility of a question being asked: what are the challenges posed by the pandemic to the idea of government, or say what are the challenges posed by the pandemic to the idea of a rules based world order, something like that. So you can use the content and context of this article to answer such kind of a question. This article is written by our Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, and it is titled An August Lesson. This is taken from the Indian Express, and the significance of this article is to showcase the importance of understanding the elements that integrate India and what we can learn from our history. So UPSC has a tendency to ask questions to show the applications of the lessons that we have learned from our history and how they are important in the present context. So in the conclusion of this article, the author is trying to link the elements of our history to the present context in the form of Atmanirbharta as a concept. So the end objective is attaining self-reliance. Now the reasons cited for this and what are the tools associated are discussed in this article. Now let us discuss the historical reasons as to why we have to understand this particular piece of history and the lessons learned from it. In the second part of the article, we will be discussing the strategies to employ, especially the cultural elements. So this will also lead us to the idea as to how we have to empower our people and ultimately achieve the objective of Atmanirbharta. So this is the structure followed. Now you can use this article to link it to your concept in GS1, which is unity in diversity. So before reading this article, please revise your class notes with respect to unity in diversity and then come back to this. So this is a useful topic when we are talking in the terms of essay as well as GS1. You can also use a similar structure as an introduction in your essay paper as well. So let us understand this. The context of this article is the Quit India movement, and on the anniversary of this Quit India movement, the author is trying to tell us what lessons we can learn. The most important lesson that we have to understand is the fact that India has been a subject of a lot of invasions from foreigners and traders, mainly because of lack of social cohesion. So the reason cited was lack of social cohesion. Now how can you say that there is lack of social cohesion? If you take a look at the history of our country, a lot of invaders have used the internal social divisions between the rulers themselves and used that to their advantage. That is why individual heroic actions have never produced any result. So to quote this as an example, we have had many heroes like Prithviraj Chauhan, Jhansi Lakshmibai, or Alluri Sita Ramaraju. All these people failed to attain that independence from the foreign clutches because of lack of social cohesion. It is only Gandhi, through his ideology and the employment of the concept of Satya and Ahimsa, ensured that India came onto a single platform where we can oppose the hegemony exhibited by the British. Now what is the power behind this Satya and Ahimsa? So basically, Gandhiji was the person who realized the underlying human consciousness which is required for social cohesion. So initially he employed this in South Africa, and when he came back to India through various social movements like the Satyagraha movement or the non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, he employed this concept of Satya and Ahimsa along with his Satyagraha. So this brought people onto a single platform. He realized the power of masses and not individual heroic actions. So whenever we talk about independence struggle, Gandhi is the person who would be coming to our mind. However, this is not to undermine the individual heroic actions, but the fact that if these individuals believed in the social cohesion concept and probably took up leadership on a single platform, it could have yielded better results. So in a way, we can say that independence movement provided the much needed social cohesion between various sections of the society and also gave a feeling of mutual belongingness to a nation. It is in this context we have to realize that the importance of nationhood lies in the fact that people are emotionally attached to this idea of nation at the time of independence. Now, in a society, if we are not actually associated with the idea of nationhood, there is a little possibility for India to build on its strength. So the present strategy of the government is to build on this emotional strength that India always had and to learn from the lessons of our history. For example, the author is quoting the invasions of Muhammad of Ghazni, wherein he invaded the Indian temples and plundered temples like Somnath temple. Why is it important for India to focus on temples? Also in this context, Ayodhya temple and Somnath temple are used as examples as to how it can unite people and serve as an example for social cohesion. Now this is important, but it is not enough. We have to do something more. We have to empower people. Now what do you mean by this empowerment? So whenever we are talking about empowerment, we have to build on our social capital. So whenever we are talking about social capital, it is easy to formulate a scheme, but if you have to make people emotionally attached to a particular idea and therefore build the human capital required for this, again social cohesion is very important. The second aspect of empowerment is the financial empowerment. All sorts of economic strategies, including the monetary and fiscal policies, may eventually lead to growth. But unless and until the idea of social cohesion is at the center of our policy formulation, it will not lead to inclusive growth. So there should be a feeling that our fellow citizen also deserves the fruits of this economic growth. So that has been the focus of this article again. So unless and until we include this idea of social cohesion, we will not respect the fact of unity in diversity. We will only be encouraging diversity, but unless and until we have this idea of unity within our religious as well as social and therefore political structures, we will not be ensuring inclusive growth. That will lead to alienation of the lowest rung of ladder, wherein there is a significant population. So this will lead to a inequality in our society. In order to avoid that, again this social cohesion and glue of nationhood is very important. So the point that I am trying to make is, we have to link this elements of social cohesion and glue of nationhood to every idea, and therefore use the same structure in our exams. So what are the examples that you can quote in this context? For example, if you take the example of new educational policy that came out after 34 years, even this policy talks about building social capital and human capital for economic growth. So even when we're talking about research and development, there is an element which encourages the indigenous growth. So even if you're talking about various fields like defense manufacturing or all sorts of manufacturing activities, we are moving slowly towards indigenous capacities to meet the indigenous markets and domestic growth. So the bottom line is, the first point that we have to note is social cohesion and nationhood will lead to empowerment, and this empowerment should respect the aspect of unity and diversity, and this will ensure an economic growth. And just because we are including the idea of social cohesion, it will lead to inclusive growth, and therefore a country where we'll have self-reliance as the end objective and prosperity of the country as the ultimate goal. After this is attained, India can achieve its larger objective in the context of international relations of being a Vishwaguru. So this is the essence of the article.